Joined by Mr. Barry Grossman, international lawyer who is joining us right now from Bali. Mr. Grossman, what is your take on the leader's comments, the fact that the main revenge would be to expel all American troops from the region?
Well, that's just so Iranian, isn't it? In the sense that when the Americans speak about responding, invariably they speak about a massive military intervention that almost seems to be designed to inflict the maximum amount of human casualties, predominantly on civilians. Whereas when Iran speaks about responding, what we tend to see is a very calculated, measured response, well thought out, well planned, striking specific military targets, almost designed to minimize unnecessary human casualties, and that the real, the genuine aim, the genuine ambition of responding is to deal with the underlying problem, which of course is the continuing presence of the United States military in the region. Let's not ever lose sight of the fact that the U.S. planted itself very firmly in Iraq entirely on the strength of false premises. Instead of leaving when the initial mission was completed, this process, which they like to call in the United States mission creep, set in. But of course, it's anything but a creep. There's absolutely no legitimate excuse for the United States maintaining its military footprint in Iraq, apart from serving its own military and wider political objectives in the region, which of course have nothing to do with any conventional understanding of what national security entails. So it's high time the Americans packed up and left. Certainly the Iraqi parliament voted to give the Americans their marching orders after some initial very bizarre responses. We haven't really seen any discussion of that issue, certainly no action, and therein really lies the main story in all of this. That is in fact what we should be focusing on. What is the U.S. planning to do? What possible excuse does it have to remain in the region? It's certainly not to fight Daesh or ISIS, since on any view there seems to be something approaching a consensus that, if anything, the U.S. military and perhaps more specifically the CIA seem to have enabled and propped up and armed and provided resources to ISIS, rather than in any sense actively taking the fight to them. And in any case, even Donald Trump claims that ISIS is essentially beaten, is not a threat anymore. So it's certainly more than within the capabilities of the Iraq government, supported by other countries in the immediate vicinity, that it invites into its sovereign territory to assist them to deal with any cleaning up operations arising out of this long operation to counter the insurgency that was largely unleashed in the region by the United States and its allies. So it's time they left. But of course, we've also heard very clear noises coming from the United States, and perhaps more obviously Donald Trump, saying, no, they want to stay there, they want to take the oil. Well, it's not going to happen that way. It's high time the Americans left. That's a perfectly reasonable ambition for Iran and Iraq together to achieve, and let us hope and pray that we see that become a very real outcome very quickly before the Americans and their allies have the opportunity to advance whatever clandestine agenda actually lay behind the assassination of General Soleimani.